Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening. The government says it will slash $4 billion from public service spending over the next 4 years and also cut money spent on consultants and contractors.
And the policy incinerator was reignited today as the government tries to get the books looking as good as possible before the election. Political editor Jenna Lynch has the details.
Stepping up to the podium for what could be his last address there, with one last political ploy up his sleeve.
With a program of inflation easing savings and efficiencies.
Savings and efficiencies, government euphemisms for cuts. After weeks of casting the right as the coalition of cuts, the government slashing and burning itself.
These changes are sensible and timely, and while significant, I want to underscore the fact that they deliberately do not affect frontline public services.
Grant Robertson's latest fiscal belt-tightening exercise, abracadabra, a magic money tree sprouting $4 billion of savings.
You found $4 billion in savings. Does that show how much fat is in the system?
No, what that shows is that we are committed to meeting our fiscal rules, that we're committed to protecting frontline services, but that we have set agencies a very clear task.
The task: scrimp, save, toss and trim anything to make 1 to 2% of cuts across government departments, all to make the government books look better.
How bad are your books going to look come September?
Well, that is something that will be put out there in September.
While the health system is technically off limits, $71 million in health baseline funding intended to better the now defunct DHB's books has been returned to the government.
So the health system is fine and it doesn't need that $71 million?
All frontline services in the health system are protected.
And government contractors, the gig is up. Contractors made up 13.4% of public service workforce spend when Labor took office. They ground that down to 10.4% by 2020. It spiked up to 14.6% in the 2021-22 year. The government attributes that to COVID. Now, the order from the Beehive: cut contractors out, saving an estimated $165 million a year.
The point here, Jenna, is that we're acknowledging that we do need to get agencies to focus on bringing that expenditure down. Our track record going into COVID was that we were bringing it down.
It's all too little too late for the opposition.
Today, Grant Robertson has reached peak Labor. After 6 years of spending New Zealanders' money with reckless abandon, he's now finally admitted he has a problem 6 weeks out from an election.
6 weeks to go with $4 billion in the bank.
How much of this $4 billion are you going to splash about on the election campaign?
None of it. It's all going back to the centre.
The low spending, low expectations campaign for re-election continues.
Well, Jenna joins us now. Kia ora, Jenna. Labor's cut some cash. Is it National's turn to next?
Yes, National's long-awaited tax plan is set to drop this week. Nicola Willis won't be drawn on much of what is in the plan, other than to say that it will be focused on the squeezed middle. The big question mark around National's tax plan and its plan to deliver tax cuts thus far has been, how are they going to pay for it? Nicola Willis says 2 ways. One of them, reprioritisation, another political euphemism for cuts. And the second thing she is now saying is targeted revenue measuring, aka tax increases. Interestingly, when Newshub asked her whether she would rule out tax hikes, she said she'd rule them out for working people when pushed. She added landlords to that list. Now, Nicola Willis has already ruled out a wealth tax, a capital gains tax, an inheritance tax and any income tax increases. Those are the obvious ones. I'm told that when National releases its plan, people will look at those revenue gathering measures and think, why weren't we doing that in the first place? One question I didn't get an answer on today was whether churches and charities should be taxed, but all to be revealed later in the week.
Watch this space, Jenna. Tēnā koe.